This is Dr.RED Panda.
Imagine sitting at a table where every dish could be your last, where the most exquisite delicacies are laced with poison, and the pursuit of immortality hides in every bite. This was the daily reality for emperors and kings across history, rulers who had everything, yet could be destroyed by what they ate. From golden plates to forbidden ingredients, from elixirs of immortality to meals that ended dynasties, royal dining was never just about food. It was a dangerous game of power, fear, and desire. I'm Dr. Red Panda, and in this video we're going to uncover the deadly diets of ancient rulers, the meals that could make them immortal or destroy them entirely. The royal table, a feast above the common world. When we imagine ancient emperors, we often picture golden thrones, vast palaces, and unimaginable wealth. But one of the most astonishing displays of their power was their table. Every day, rulers dined on hundreds of dishes, prepared by dozens or sometimes hundreds of chefs, using ingredients that traveled across continents. Exotic spices, rare meats, and delicacies that the common people would never dream of touching filled their plates. But luxury came with a hidden cost. Behind the gleaming silver and gold, the royal table often concealed danger. Not all of these meals were safe. Some were laced with heavy metals, toxins, or dangerously untested ingredients. Every bite carried risk, and every feast could be a subtle threat to life itself. In ancient China, emperors consumed mineral-based elixirs promising immortality. Mercury, arsenic, and other substances were considered medicinal, yet in reality, they slowly poisoned the very rulers they were supposed to protect. In Rome, the aristocracy used lead-lined vessels for wine and sauces, a culinary choice that some historians believe contributed to chronic illness and even early death among the elite. In medieval Europe, kings sought exotic and unfamiliar foods simply to demonstrate status, sometimes choosing ingredients that were unfamiliar and unsafe. This obsession with rarity and opulence was not merely indulgence. It was a symbol of power. The more dangerous or unusual the food, the more it signaled dominance, wealth, and superiority. A ruler's appetite became a reflection of his control over life itself, not just his own, but the lives of those around him. And yet, even with all the wealth and influence in the world, emperors were not immune. The very meals designed to display power often became instruments of downfall. Over centuries, dynasties were weakened, emperors fell ill, and history quietly recorded the lethal effects of culinary excess. As we take our first bite into the world of royal dining, one question emerges. How did these sumptuous meals, meant to showcase power and wealth, sometimes turn into silent killers? The allure of exotic flavors, rare spices, and forbidden ingredients was only the beginning. Soon, the true danger of the emperor's appetite would reveal itself, in ways that would shake dynasties to their core. The poison paradox, when luxury turned lethal. At first glance, the royal table seems like a celebration of abundance and taste. But behind the gilded platters and exotic aromas lurked a subtle danger. The very foods that displayed power could also destroy it. Emperors were surrounded by advisors, chefs, and doctors, yet many fell victim to meals designed to impress, indulge, or even heal. Instead of simply reflecting personal taste, the imperial diet became a battlefield of influence. Every dish that reached the emperor's table had already passed through layers of political filtering. Eunuchs, court officials, physicians, and kitchen supervisors all shaped what the ruler consumed. Meals were engineered not just for pleasure, but for control. Foods that symbolized loyalty were offered generously, while ingredients associated with rivals could be deliberately omitted. Even nutritional advice became a weapon. A single court physician's recommendation could shift the emperor's habits for years, strengthening one faction while undermining another. In this environment, health was rarely neutral. It was a negotiation of power disguised as guidance. The most fascinating part is this: emperors often believed they were choosing freely, but in reality, their preferences were carefully molded by the people around them. What they ate and what they avoided was a reflection not of personal desire, but of the invisible hands competing for influence behind the scenes. The paradox was clear. The more opulent the meal, the greater the danger. Every bite of luxury was a subtle negotiation between life and death. Chefs aimed to dazzle the senses. Advisors sought to preserve the emperor. Yet history records countless reigns cut short, not by rebellion or war, but by the very table meant to symbolize supremacy. As we examine these deadly feasts, a pattern emerges. The desire to showcase power, combined with the pursuit of pleasure or longevity, created invisible threats that could erode health, influence decisions, and even destabilize entire dynasties. It was a delicate balance. One misstep, one overlooked ingredient, and a ruler's life could be irrevocably altered. And so, the royal table, while dazzling and sumptuous, was never just about food. Hidden in the sauces, spices, and elixirs were lessons in caution and control. Soon, we will explore the most extreme examples. The elixirs, potions, and forbidden ingredients that promised immortality, yet often delivered death. Elixirs of immortality, the deadliest recipes in history. Throughout history, rulers have been obsessed with one ultimate goal: immortality. No treasure, no army, no palace could match the allure of endless life. But the quest for eternal youth carried a dark price, hidden in golden goblets and intricately prepared elixirs. For emperors and kings, the promise of immortality often came with a deadly catch. In ancient China, emperors from the Qin dynasty to the Ming dynasty consumed mineral-based elixirs and potions created by court alchemists. Mercury, arsenic, and other heavy metals were carefully mixed with herbs and minerals, allegedly to strengthen the body and prolong life. Court physicians monitored doses meticulously, yet the effects were slow, insidious, and fatal. Some emperors appeared vigorous and healthy while their internal organs gradually deteriorated. The more they drank, the closer they edged toward death. Across the Indian subcontinent and Persia, rulers pursued similar experiments. Alchemists promised rejuvenation with rare minerals, gold powder, and secret herbal formulas. While these concoctions dazzled the senses and reinforced the emperor's aura of invincibility, they often carried invisible poison, leading to weakness, confusion, and in some cases, sudden death. Even in Europe, kings and emperors sought longevity through the ingestion of exotic substances. Lead-laced wines, powdered mummies, and other arcane ingredients were believed to fortify the body and prevent decay. Some royal advisors equated danger with potency. The more unusual or forbidden the ingredient, the more powerful it was thought to be. This blind faith in mysterious foods often undermined the health of rulers, despite their vast armies and fortified palaces. The danger was not only physical but political. A ruler weakened by toxic elixirs became vulnerable to manipulation, intrigue, and rebellion. Decisions made under the influence of poison or mineral-laced remedies could alter the fate of entire empires. In some cases, dynasties were destabilized long before an enemy army marched to the gates. The slow, silent decay of the ruler's health became a hidden force that reshaped history. Yet the allure of immortality was irresistible. Emperors were willing to risk anything, believing that their divine right to rule extended to their lifespan. The opulence of the royal table transformed into an elaborate trap. Food that promised eternal life could deliver death faster than any assassin's blade. The emperor lifted another golden cup, savoring the exotic aroma, unaware that every sip carried unseen consequences. Luxury and danger were inseparable, and each carefully measured bite brought him closer to fate's invisible edge. Soon, the pressures of power, fear, and ambition would meet these deadly diets in ways that would test not only the ruler's body, but the fragile balance of the entire court. Power, fear, and the imperial appetite. Emperors lived in constant anxiety. Assassins, poisoners, and political rivals were everywhere, or so they believed. It was a world where paranoia and indulgence intertwined. This fear fueled a reliance on alchemists, physicians, and court chefs who claimed to guarantee safety, longevity, and even immortality through meticulously prepared meals. But the very measures designed to protect could also harm and sometimes destroy the ruler. Luxury became a paradoxical prison. To display supreme status, emperors consumed the rarest ingredients, but these choices often required blind trust in others. A single error in preparation, a misjudged dosage, or an underestimated spice could tip the balance between life and death. The emperor's power paradoxically made him more vulnerable, not less. Court politics amplified the risk. Advisors sought favor by recommending dangerous delicacies, or by introducing exotic foods that impressed the ruler but carried hidden threats. The dining hall became a microcosm of empire-wide intrigue. Alliances, rivalries, and subtle manipulations played out not in battlefields, but on the plate. An emperor weakened by his meals could be easily influenced, a subtle but potent shift in the balance of power. Yet, the psychological allure of risk was irresistible. For the ruler, the danger of the meal could enhance prestige. Surviving the deadly banquet was a testament to resilience, courage, and invincibility. In some ways, the more hazardous the dish, the more it symbolized dominance over life, nature, and human limitation. The appetite was not just for food, but for control, admiration, and the illusion of immortality. As these forces converged, power, fear, desire, and indulgence, the stage was set for both triumph and catastrophe. The imperial appetite was a weapon and a vulnerability, a delicate negotiation between risk and reward. What killed the emperors and what it means for us today. Through centuries of feasts, elixirs, and forbidden delicacies, one lesson becomes clear. Power and indulgence are a dangerous mix. Emperors, despite their wealth, armies, and influence, were not immune to the consequences of their choices. Meals intended to display supremacy often became instruments of vulnerability, silently shaping the fate of dynasties. From mercury-laced elixirs in China to lead-lined wines in Rome, history is full of rulers undone by their own appetites. The irony is striking. Those who sought immortality through extravagant diets were often the first to fall. Their decline was not always dramatic or violent, but subtle, creeping through weakened health, impaired judgment, and courtly manipulation. And yet, these stories are more than cautionary tales. They reveal something universal about human nature. Even today, we face our own royal tables. Choices that promise indulgence, prestige, or status, yet carry hidden costs. The allure of power, wealth, and pleasure can blind us to risks we cannot always see. So here's the question I leave for you. If you suddenly had unlimited resources, the ability to indulge every desire, could you maintain control, or would the very abundance become your downfall? And that's a wrap for this episode of the video. I'm DR.RED Panda. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Until next time, take care.